Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Stirring It Up with Tierra Monique Kitchen Table Talk. And on today's segment of political news, we have Michael Moore at the table breaking it down. So let's listen and talk about it on the other side.
It must look like a very bizarro movie if you're black or brown when you watched what happened on Wednesday. Nobody of color would ever live through that experience. So they've arrested a few people that look like the media stars of this event. The guy with his feet up on the desk of Nancy Pelosi, the guy with a Viking helmet, the state representative from West Virginia. They've arrested a few of these to make it look like they're doing something.
That's what I said.
And go online and look at the charges that they've been charged with. Trespassing, forced entry, destruction of property. It goes down, it reads like that. I have yet to see one of them charged with committing an act of domestic terrorism. That's what this was. And yet none of them are being charged, right now at least, with a terrorism charge.
When is our society going to change?
What if it had been 10,000 Muslims rushing that building? And 4 days later, there's not a single terrorism charge.
Blood would have been all in the street.
Well, I'm just telling you things that you already know. And white people, I'm just reminding you of our privilege. And the privilege applies not just to being able to drive down the road and not get pulled over for no reason whatsoever. Our privilege doesn't just apply to walking through Home Depot and not having somebody follow us because you got to watch the white people when they're in the store, you know. No, not that privilege. Not the privilege of getting to go to a better school. Not the privilege of having just a bit of a leg ahead than the descendants of slaves. No, this is the privilege, as we saw it on Wednesday, of you can break into the most sacred building of American democracy and trash it, destroy things, steal things, and most importantly, have the members hiding under their desks, hiding in closets, thinking they could die at any minute. And it felt so good, and they got to walk out. And as we are speaking here on Facebook Live, they are still, to this day, they went home, those who went home, happy as a lark. Nothing happened to them. They didn't feel like they had to cover their face. In fact, they had no COVID mask on because that's who they are. It's amazing. Maybe I learned something I didn't know about one of the privileges of being white. I could literally smash up the United States Capitol. What else? The White House? What else could I do? And nothing would happen to me. Man, I mean, that's a high bar.
Yes, it is. It's a scary thought, too.
Nothing. No terrorism charges. Trespassing. Illegal entry. Stealing Nancy Pelosi's mail. Stealing Jim Clyburn's tablet. His iPad. It's gone. That's a felony. And then the footage later that night of some of these same protesters, they had a shot of them back at the Willard Hotel, smoking cigars and having a good laugh. First of all, if you're not familiar with the Willard Hotel, it's maybe the most expensive hotel to stay in D.C. It's right across from the White House, right across from Lafayette Park. It's right there on the corner of 16th Street where it dead ends at Lafayette Park, and there's the White House right there. And they're sitting there in the, I don't know what, if they have a cigar bar or a lounge or whatever, and they're smoking cigars and having a great laugh. Wow. Every single person who broke into the Capitol building and caused any of that damage should be arrested. They need to arrest every single one of them. And most importantly, Trump has to be removed immediately. They're going to propose impeachment on Monday. They're going to file the impeachment resolution and have a vote on it probably by midweek. That's too late. I hear tonight from the news that Trump now, encased in the White House there, is upset that he was talked into going out and giving that 1-minute video to tell the rioters and the mob to go home. We love you. You're special to us. That's what he said. But, okay, you've done your job for today. Go home. He regrets even doing that because he doesn't want to pull back from this 1 inch. He's not ashamed of anything. He's happy that the mob went and did his bidding. He incited a riot. He encouraged an insurgency and an uprising against the government of the United States of America. And for that, he has to go. And you're saying, well, how's the Senate going to... Well, read the rules. The next Senate, the Democratic one, they can vote to convict him afterwards. Because the key here is that once he's convicted in the Senate, he can never run for federal office again. That's the rule. But the main reason the House has to impeach and the Senate has to deal with this now is that, as one of our former national security directors said this week, he is our #1 national security threat. We are in danger because of him and because of the mob that he rules. And anytime you have a situation like this, the head of it has to be taken off. The person who's responsible for this has to be stopped, has to be arrested, has to be imprisoned until there's a trial. And the people who enabled him, the 138 House members, Republicans, all of them, who voted after this awful riot was over, they came back in after midnight and voted to deny the people of Arizona and Pennsylvania the right to have their votes counted. 138 Republicans did that. It's an act of sedition. It's an act of treason to prohibit the counting of the votes, the legitimate votes, that every court, including the Supreme Court, including Trump's justices, said these votes are real, they're legitimate, and they must be counted. And yet tens of thousands, and Trump and Don Jr. and Giuliani were all there to see that that didn't happen. And for a good 8 hours, they succeeded. They succeeded in bringing the United States of America to a halt.
Don Jr. needs to be arrested as
That's
well.
exactly what they did.
Rudy Giuliani. I call him...
And they felt good. They felt real good.
Rudy the Rooster.
So many white
Don
supremacists
Jr.
were part of this. And you understand how many white supremacists are also police officers. You know this. You've read all the data. White supremacists, right-wingers. They were all part of this. The ones either that turned their heads or the ones who were there participating in the mob violence. The white supremacists who were wearing their T-shirts. One that had letters on it that stood for 6 million is not enough. referring to the 6 million Jews who died in the Holocaust. Another guy had a T-shirt on that said, I think it said Auschwitz summer camp. And there was a lot more of that. When they find out how many of these were police or ex-military, the number of white supremacists that are in our military, the Pentagon knows they have a big problem with this, and they've been trying to figure out how to deal with it. But these are white men, mostly, that are there to protect white privilege, white society, white culture, the white country that this was founded on.
You guys are familiar with
And
Blackwater.
I was watching Joe Biden on Friday announce the rest of his cabinet members. And before he did so, he said, I just would like to point out, because I promised you that my cabinet would look like America. 50% of the cabinet are men and 50% are women. Wow. That's never happened. And then he said this, and the majority are people of color. The majority of Joe Biden's cabinet is not white. This is the last thing these crazies need to hear. But Biden wouldn't back down. Biden made it clear he's coming after them. You will not break the law like this. You will not commit acts of treason in this country. There are consequences to your actions. And I pray to God that he follows through on this. I know what he said is true. The number one priority is stopping COVID and saving lives. Absolutely. And then we've got to get money in people's pockets, whether it's jobs or whether it's $2,000 a month or whatever it is. People are suffering right now, and he's got to take care of that. And I'm sure he doesn't want the Congress having to deal with this. That's why they should just deal with it. It's a voice vote, my friends, in Congress. All those in favor of impeaching Donald Trump for encouraging an act of insurrection, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I want a roll call. Okay, good. I do too. I want their names on this. And then the Senate, McConnell, if you stand for anything, you need to let this go through. There needs to be a trial. The trial needs to last a day or two. That's it. We all saw it. The evidence was there on display. We all were not on the Ukraine call that led to his impeachment, his first impeachment, but we all saw this. We all saw our president trying to take our country down. And that, to the vast, vast majority of us, is unacceptable. Don't wimp out on this, President Biden. Don't wimp out on this, Vice President Harris. If there are not consequences to these actions, this will happen again and again and again. And there will be 4 years of the Biden administration where he's having to fight numerous acts of domestic terrorism. And people will die because we didn't stop it at first. As I said to Representative Kildee on my podcast yesterday, we're both Michiganders. We should have done something when those Michigan militia took over our state capitol back in the spring. Remember that? With long guns. And then at Christmas time, they showed up at the house of our Secretary of State, and she was there with her small children decorating for Christmas. And they're all out there on her lawn and sidewalk with these semi-automatic weapons threatening her. Not one of them arrested. Not one of them who took over the Capitol arrested. And I said to Dan, I think we're responsible in part for this because we were the dry run in Michigan back in the spring. And nothing happened. The ones who will do harm to us need to see that those who did this week, they have to be punished to such an extent that everybody with half a brain will think twice before doing this again. The Democrats cannot wimp out on this. Tonight, Jake Tapper from CNN posted a tweet, and he said, he wanted to sum up, like this says it all. He says, the big tell here in D.C. tonight is that as flags are flying at half-mast all across the city and at the Capitol building because of the police officer who was shot and because of our democracy that was attacked, so the flags are all at half-mast. He said the big tell tonight is that there's one flag that is not flying at half-mast, and that is the flag on top of Trump's White House. He won't even lower the flag to honor the deceased police officer because he incited it. He is a cop killer. That's how the law looks at it. You participate, you set it up, you don't have to be the one to pull the trigger or to commit the actual act that kills the cop. You set everybody up to go do this violence that killed the police officer. That makes you, Trump, a cop killer. Stop it with your Blue Lives Matter bullshit. You don't believe it. You've never believed it. Because you'd have to believe in law. And you avoided the law. Every crime you've committed in your lifetime, you've gotten away with it. You've never spent a night in jail, which is just stunning to me. You can't even lower that flag halfway down to honor the dead, to honor our democracy. It's okay, I get it. In closing here, I want to read you what I wrote and posted today in case you didn't get a chance to see it. And Facebook still has the poster up that's all around town in D.C. and it is in many state capitals across the country calling for the armed march. So let me just read this to you and then we'll be done for the night. Thanks for staying with me. I know it's late. I had to do it tonight. I love my country. Most of all, I love the people in it. I remember when I was a kid, I suggested to one of my nuns that maybe we could write a better Pledge of Allegiance. And she said, well, what would it sound like? And I said, I pledge allegiance to the people. Oh, the people. Oh, yeah, the flag is, it's a symbol, I get it, it's a piece of cloth. I pledge allegiance to the people of the United States of America and to this republic for which we all stand. One nation, part of one world, with liberty and justice for all. I was a precarious sixth grader. This is what I wrote, and then we're done. Friends, the terrorist attack is not over. Thousands from Wednesday's terrorist mob assault on the Capitol have not been arrested and have not left Washington, D.C. They are planning more attacks. This poster that I've included here on my Facebook site, it's being displayed all over. It's even been circulated among the members of Congress. It calls for an armed march 3 days before the inauguration, and not just in D.C., but in our 50 state capitals. Some leaders whether they're politicians or in the media, they're afraid to say straight up to all of you exactly what I've been telling you here tonight. They're afraid. And I get it. They don't want you to panic. They don't want to help publicize these crazies in their next march or whatever they're going to do. And that's understandable. I get that. But the public, you, needs to be told. And you need to be told now. And that's why I wanted to do this tonight. Law enforcement knows that there's more violence ahead. They know it right now. Trump and his inner circle, his crime family, have called for this uprising, and they are pleased with what they've seen, and they know what's going on. Unless these white terrorists are arrested now, en masse, there will be people killed between now and between now and Inauguration Day. I can't stress this enough. Way too many police are sympathetic to their white terrorist brethren. They will stand down again, just like they did on Wednesday, and allow the violence to continue. I keep hoping in the back of my mind that this isn't really going to happen. I pray it isn't going to happen. But we have to treat this seriously. They've already issued the threat, just like they did for the weeks leading up to Wednesday. We have to treat it seriously and demand action. The terrorists saw on Wednesday that they could get away with this. They are empowered and they are excited. They believe that this is their moment. My friends, we are all in danger. I ask that you listen to me, please. Me, the person who warned you that Trump would win in 2016. The person who warned you that there would be no weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq and that the premise for the invasion was a lie. I'm the guy that warned you that Columbine would be only the first of many, many mass school shootings. And on and on. I only recite this litany of my failures to convince the public that we are in serious danger in the hopes that you will listen to me today.
We're listening.
Impeachment is scheduled to happen before Thursday, is what they're saying. That's too late. It's too late. We must remove the head of the terrorist action today. He's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. His co-conspirators are in the Republican caucus of the House and the Senate, and their mob, they're everywhere. They often wear red hats and have no COVID masks on their face. Some carry weapons, some make bombs, a few kill cops. All of them know they are protected by their white skin and believe nothing will happen to them. All of them want to stop our votes from being counted. And they want to stop the new president from taking his oath of office. Here's their only problem. There's more of us than there are of them. And they know it. And it infuriates them even more. A strong show of legal force and the removal of their leader is the only thing that will stop what we are about to experience. And I don't mean just experience it in the next week or 10 days. We're going to have to live with this throughout the Biden administration, and I refuse to live with it. For the sake of peace, I ask you to join me in demanding action. We must stop this madness. There is no other alternative. Make your voice heard. Let your representatives know. Demand the arrest and prosecution of everyone who did this. And let's do our best to try to remove Donald J. Trump from the office of President of the United States. Don't fall for this. Come on, Mike, it's just a few more days. We can get through a few more days. We saw on Wednesday that it only took one day to see how precarious and how fragile our democracy is. We have a job to do. I will do mine. You do yours. We'll do it together. We'll get through this. And let's make everything I just said here during this Facebook Live not happen. Wouldn't that be great if 2 weeks from now, you guys just all wrote me and said, dude, you said all that awful stuff was going to happen. It didn't happen. Well, it didn't happen because you and I got busy, made our voices heard, and insisted that the people responsible for this act of terrorism were dealt with. And because we did that, we protected ourselves. But it's on us. Because too many of the so-called people in charge, too many of the people in law enforcement, too many rogue members of our great and wonderful military are off the reservation. And they are looking forward to these next 10 days. Don't give up. Easy for me to say after all that. But what else are we going to do? God bless all of you. Have a great rest of your Saturday night. I'm going to go do a virtual movie watch with a friend or two. I don't know who's watching. We try to do this on Saturday nights, have a little virtual movie watch. Got to keep our spirits up. So please, don't sink into your despair. Act as a member of a great democracy. I'll talk to you soon here in the next few days. I'll stay on top of everything that's going on, and I'll let you know what I know so that you're not in the dark about a lot of this stuff.
Thank you.
Be well, and thanks for letting me talk to you tonight.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
Have a good night.
All right, everyone, that wraps it up for this edition of Stirring It Up with me, Tierra Monique. So, what do you think about Michael Moore? We need to start listening to this man. He's like our guru, our Notre Dame, something. So, please let us know what you think about him in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to hit the like and subscribe to become a friend. And until next time, and there will be a next time, take care of yourself. Bye.